Hi, welcome back to Furious Fiction. I'm Mark Mustian here with Diane Roberts. How are you?
Hello there. Well, I'm fine, thanks.
We've been reading a lot, and we have a wonderful author for you today, Tatjana Soli. She's the author of The Lotus Eaters, won national, international acclaim. I think the winner of the Tate Prize,
James Tate Prize,
if I'm
yes.
not incorrect there. So Tatjana, welcome from sunny Southern California, right?
Hi, how are you?
We're great.
So good to see you. It's a wonderful book.
Yeah, The Lotus Eaters is about a woman war photographer in Vietnam. And just tell us, I mean, I would have thought when I read this book, Tatjana, that you had lived in Vietnam for a decade. So just tell us a little bit about just the research and the level of detail. How did you do it?
You know, I was fascinated with the subject, and I live in Southern California. We have a lot of Vietnamese immigrants here, and so, you know, I learned a lot. There was a different Vietnam than the Vietnam that you have read about in the war books, and so I decided that, you know, this would be a really interesting angle to show on the war, kind of give a different perspective. You know, what is it, the country more like? And of course, since I was not an adult then, I didn't go to the war, and it was set in the 60s and 70s. I realized I had this huge burden of detail because there are so many people that were there, you know, and experienced it firsthand. So when I decided that I was going to tackle the project, I spent over a year and a half just reading every nonfiction, every kind of detail that I could, because I knew I just had to create that world for myself so that it would be, you know, as accurate as somebody who had, you know, experienced it.
Did you get people saying, well, you know, why are you a woman and not an ex-soldier and not a person in the war? Why are you writing about war? Did you get that? Because I think our conventional wisdom is women don't write about war.
Yeah, I mean, I actually didn't get that. I was afraid of that before the book came out, but I think, you know, it's almost, I think all of that actually is an advantage, because I think you need, well, for the book that I wanted to write, you wanted that perspective that's outside of the soldier's perspective. And of course that's interesting, and there are wonderful books that have been done from that. But if you're going to go more into the reasons of why we fight a war, I think having the distance both in time, and then having somebody like Helen, who's a woman who, you know, they don't want her there, she doesn't know what she's doing there, having those distancing things, it allows you to think, you know, about the reasons of what you're doing, and what are the implications of being a war photographer, and what does it mean when you're recording this? Are you promoting it? Are you using it for your own career, and, you know, ignoring the tragedies that you see in front of you? So having that distance is actually the strength of this, and it's a different story. I'm not trying to tell a soldier's perspective. I wouldn't have done that. Yeah. You know, it's been done so well, and it doesn't need to be done by somebody like, you know, me. But well, I think from the outside, to get the Vietnamese perspective, to get the wider perspective, it's actually helpful.
It's great the way that Helen reinvents herself as a combat photographer, which is just about the most dangerous journalism job. I mean, those are the ones that get killed the most. But her perspective, you know, as a person who's lost and then finds this direction, is very beautifully done. Very wonderfully rendered.
You know, just as a character choice, I did a lot of research on combat photographers, and they're just amazing people. They're just so brave, and they, you know, do things that the regular people like you and I would never dream of, you know, ourselves. And yet they do it just as, it's just part of their job, and they accept that. So that was an interesting thing to learn about also.
Tell us about getting the book published, because this is always of great interest to, I think, to viewers, and certainly to us as authors. I mean, how long did it take you to do this? The trials and tribulations. Give us the 9 yards of how you got there.
Yeah, it was a very, very hard sell from beginning to end. So when I first got the idea that I wanted to tell the story about this woman and this situation, from that to having the book published was 10 years. And wow. From the beginning, from my agent to the publishers, and then even after getting it published, I felt we were always really pushing uphill, because there was this perception that, you know, women, you know, the majority of readers are women, and that women don't want to read about war. And I think, you know, the book is done fairly well, and I think it has done well, because that's kind of an underestimating thing. I think it's a human story, and you know, so many people are affected by wars. So many women are interested in you know, what is going on in the world, and you know, this is an unusual to read about. Combat photographers is different, but I think there's a very human aspect of it. But we had resistance all the way through, and the book got rejected so many times, and it was very difficult. But
so hear that, everybody. Rejection, you got to keep going.
And this book won so many prizes and is so admired. So there you go.
It's so great.
Yeah.
So congratulations. And real quick, Tatjana, before we have to go, tell us what's next. Tell us what you're working on now.
I just finished the final revisions on my second book, so that's coming out in September. And I actually had written the first draft before this book got accepted, so I call it my first novel.
Well,
so it's been fun because it's been such an easy process compared to the first time. But
well, tell us the name, and when will it be coming out?
It's called The Forgetting Tree, and it's coming out in September.
Oh, great. Well, congratulations. And Tatjana, thank you so much for being with us. We've been pleased enough to speak with Tatjana Soli, the author of The Lotus Eaters, that was published, I think, last year. She has another novel coming out in next year. So, Tatjana, thank you so much for being with us. We really appreciate it.
Wonderful book.
I'm Mark Mustian, here with Diane Roberts. Thanks for being with us again on Furious Fiction.
Goodbye.